citizens of the world, this video is going to be looking at Anonymous, the world's most infamous hacktivist collective. Who are they? What have they done? And have they actually affected any social or political change? But first of all, let's figure out what hacktivism is. Hacktivism is a form of digital activism that utilises hacking as a means of protest. As Collister 2014 explains, it is a practice rooted in the defacing, disruption or destruction of technology. Hacktivism has developed as governments, businesses and individuals have become increasingly reliant on the internet, making them susceptible to cyber attacks. Anonymous is one of the most influential and active hacktivist collectives, taking on a huge range of social and political targets. But how did it all begin? To understand the origins of Anonymous, we have to dive into the seedy world of 4chan. Back in the dark days of 2003, the internet was a very different place. There was no Twitter, no Facebook, and no Instagram. Haunted instead by trolls and hackers, there emerged a new site, 4chan. 4chan began as a forum-based website in which people could post under pseudonymous usernames about whatever they wanted. Renowned for its pornography and cynical and sadistic material, it did not begin as a particularly politically charged place. But what did develop was a culture that valued anonymity and freedom of information and data exchange. The ability to post under the anonymous handle meant that there was a growing collective identity amongst those who regularly visited the site. 4chan users would conduct raids against websites, causing them to crash by flooding them with activity. In 2006 and 2007, these raids became more directed, with 4chan users bringing down the websites of people whose ideology they opposed. The first real operation that cemented Anonymous as a hacktivist collective was Project Chanology in 2008. A video of Tom Cruise talking about Scientology was uploaded to YouTube without the consent of the church. The Church of Scientology threatened litigation if the poster did not bring the video down. This did not sit well with Anonymous. You may be wondering by now, how do hacktivists actually conduct their operations? Well, that is a very good question. Hacktivists have an arsenal of weapons that they employ. The most commonly used are distributed denial of service attacks, where websites are flooded with activity, causing them to crash or become inaccessible. Structured query language injections are a more highly skilled attack. This is when hackers infiltrate databases, often for the purpose of phishing. Phishing is the attempt to attain sensitive information and data, such as emails, passwords, home addresses, credit card details, etc. These can be used for doxing. Doxing is one of the nastier tactics used by hacktivists and refers to the defamation or intimidation of a person. It can be achieved through threats, releasing private information about an individual onto the internet, or defacing personal websites or social media accounts. The most active and infamous years of Anonymous were 2010 and 2011. During these years, they ran Operation Payback is a Bitch, which was a retaliation against anti-piracy and pro-copyright organisations who were launching distributed denial of service attacks against data-sharing websites like Pirate Bay. Anonymous responded by shutting down the websites of the Motion Picture Association of America, the Recording Industry Association of America, and various law firms involved in copyright litigation. Their slogan during this campaign was, "You call it piracy, we call it freedom." They also launched attacks against Visa, MasterCard and PayPal, shutting down the servers of these organisations after they cut off funding to WikiLeaks. They also organised their first physical protest with the Occupy Wall Street movement. This protest saw thousands of anonymous members in Guy Fawkes masks, which have since become synonymous with the group, taking to the streets of New York as a way of protesting capital greed and the growing income gap between the rich and poor. Anonymous have taken on an impressive amount of foes, As Wood 2015 lists, Anonymous has rallied against Sony, PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, the Motion Picture Association of America, ISIS, Koch Industries, the Westboro Baptist Church, the New York Stock Exchange, and the federal governments of the US, Australia, Uganda, Israel, Canada, Tunisia, and Egypt, along with assorted private individuals and smaller companies that each transgressed against the group's sense of propriety in some fashion. Despite this extensive list, many have questioned whether Anonymous has actually been effective at bringing about social and political change. When trying to answer this question, it is important to keep in mind what hacktivists are actually trying to achieve. As Dewey 2013 notes, hacktivists view their actions as necessary acts of civil disobedience that are fundamental to the processes of democracy and freedom, in which protest is both a right and an obligation in precipitating change when governments and corporations overstep their boundaries. The very nature of hacktivism is disruptive and reactive, and the very point of it is to carry out retribution for perceived wrongs. Has Anonymous been effective in dishing out punishment to businesses, governments, and individuals? Well, an organised and targeted attack by Anonymous is certainly nothing to shake off. The financial, emotional, and reputational damage of anonymous attacks is significant. Has this then precipitated social and political change? That, unfortunately, is much more difficult to ascertain, and not for me to decide. I personally salute Anonymous for its ability to be a massive pain in the ass to those who have abused their power. But go on, get out there, discover more, and decide for yourself. Okay, one of them will have to do.